Welcome to this video where we'll explore one of the most frustrating errors that Python programmers encounter: cannot access local variable min_distance, where it is not associated with a value. If you've been programming in Python for any amount of time, chances are you've run into this error at some point. But what does it mean? And more importantly, how can we fix it? In this video, we'll dive into the details of why this error occurs and provide a clear explanation of the underlying concepts. Oh yeah, by the end of this video, you'll have a deep understanding of Python's variable scoping rules and know exactly how to avoid this error in your own code. So let's start by looking at what causes this error. The key issue here is that Python has specific rules about how variables are scoped within functions. In essence, when you define a function, Python creates a new scope for that function. This means that any variables defined within the function are local to that function and cannot be accessed from outside. Now let's say we have a variable called min_distance inside our function. If we try to access this variable before it's been assigned a value, Python will throw an error because it can't find any reference to min_distance in the current scope. This makes sense because if min_distance hasn't been defined yet, there's no way for Python to know what value it should have. However, things get more complicated when we start using conditional statements or loops within our function. In these cases, Python might not be able to determine whether a variable has been assigned a value until runtime. This is where the concept of late binding comes in. Essentially, Python delays evaluating an expression until it's actually needed. But how does this relate to our error? Well, when Python encounters a conditional statement or loop that assigns a value to min_distance, it doesn't immediately evaluate the expression and bind the variable. Instead, it waits until the code is executed at runtime. If the condition is never met, then min_distance will never be assigned a value, hence the error. To illustrate this point, let's consider an example. Suppose we have a function that calculates the minimum distance between 2 points on a graph. Inside this function, we define a variable called min_distance and use a loop to iterate through each pair of points. However, if our data is empty, or there's only 1 point, then the loop will never execute and min_distance will never be assigned a value. So what are the main takeaways from this explanation? First, Python has strict scoping rules that govern how variables are accessed within functions. Second, late binding can sometimes cause issues when working with conditional statements or loops. And third, it's essential to ensure that all variables are properly initialized before trying to access them. That's a wrap on this video about why Python says cannot access local variable min_distance where it is not associated with a value. I hope you now have a deeper understanding of the underlying concepts and can avoid this error in your own code. If you have any questions or need further clarification, please leave them in the comments below. Also, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more content on programming and software development. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. What's your favorite way of handling variable scoping in Python? Share your experiences and tips with us in the comments.